Mia's hands trembled as she smoothed down the only decent dress she owned, a simple navy blue shift she'd bought on clearance 3 years ago. She stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror of Romano's, the upscale Italian restaurant where her co-workers had insisted she meet her perfect match. "You look fine," she whispered to herself, though her stomach churned with anxiety. "It's just dinner. What's the worst that could happen?" The worst, she already suspected, was that this entire setup was a joke. Mia worked as a junior accountant at Morrison & Associates, a mid-sized firm in downtown Chicago. For 6 months, she'd endured the subtle mockery of her colleagues, especially Vanessa and her clique. They made fun of Mia's thrift store clothes, her packed lunches, the fact that she took the bus instead of driving. What they didn't know was that Mia was supporting her younger sister through college while paying off their late parents' medical debt. 2 days ago, Vanessa had cornered her in the break room with a saccharine smile. "Mia, sweetie, I have the perfect guy for you," Vanessa had cooed, her designer nails tapping against her coffee cup. "He's single, successful, and honestly, I think you two would be adorable together." Mia had been skeptical, but desperate loneliness won out. "Really?" "Absolutely. Blind date, Friday night, Romano's at 7. Don't worry about a thing, I'll arrange everything." Vanessa's smile had been too wide, too sharp. Now, standing outside the restaurant, Mia heard Vanessa's laughter echoing from somewhere inside. Her stomach dropped. They were here, watching. This was definitely a setup. She should leave, walk away, preserve what little dignity she had left. But then she remembered her sister Emma's voice on the phone last week. "Mia, you need to live a little. When was the last time you went on a date?" Mia squared her shoulders and pushed through the heavy wooden doors. The hostess, a sleek woman with a platinum bob, looked her up and down with thinly veiled disdain. "Reservation." "I'm meeting someone. The reservation might be under Vanessa Chen." The hostess checked her tablet. "Ah, yes, table for 2 in the back corner, follow me." As Mia wove through tables draped in white linen, she caught sight of Vanessa, her assistant Becca, and 2 other co-workers from the office seated near the bar. They weren't even trying to hide. Vanessa raised her wine glass in a mock toast, barely suppressing her giggles. Mia's cheeks burned, but she kept walking. The corner table was tucked behind a decorative screen, semi-private and dimly lit. A man sat with his back to her, shoulders broad in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than Mia's monthly rent. Dark hair, perfectly styled. "Excuse me," Mia said softly. "Are you?" He turned, and Mia's words died in her throat. He was gorgeous, not handsome in the boy-next-door way, but striking in a way that made her pulse stutter. Sharp jawline, dark eyes that seemed to see straight through her, and a mouth that curved into the barest hint of a smile. "You must be Mia," he said, his voice low and smooth, with a slight British accent that made her knees weak. "I'm Sebastian." He stood, and Mia realized he was tall, at least 6'2", with the kind of presence that commanded attention without trying. He pulled out her chair like a perfect gentleman, and she sat before her legs gave out. "Thank you," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. Sebastian returned to his seat, those dark eyes never leaving her face. "I have to admit, I wasn't sure what to expect when my assistant told me about this arrangement." Mia blinked. "Your assistant?" "Yes, Vanessa Chen works for my company. She mentioned she had a colleague who might enjoy dinner." His gaze flicked toward the bar area where Vanessa sat, and something cold flashed across his features. "Though I'm beginning to suspect her motivations weren't entirely sincere." Mia's face flamed. "I'm so sorry. I think this is some kind of joke. They do this kind of thing. I should go." She started to rise, but Sebastian's hand shot out, his fingers circling her wrist gently. The touch sent electricity up her arm. "Don't," he said quietly. "If they wanted to humiliate you, the worst thing you could do is run. Stay, have dinner with me, let them wonder." Mia's eyes stung with frustrated tears. You don't understand. They're laughing at me, at us. This whole thing is. I understand perfectly, Sebastian interrupted, his tone sharp as a blade. Vanessa has been angling for a promotion in my company for months. This little stunt, it's about to cost her dearly. He released Mia's wrist and leaned back in his chair, that hint of a smile returning. But first, let's enjoy ourselves. When was the last time you had a proper meal? Mia's stomach chose that moment to growl audibly, and she wanted to disappear into the floor. Sebastian's smile widened into something genuine, and he raised his hand to summon the waiter. We'll start with the burrata, he told the server. The lobster risotto for the lady, and I'll have the osso buco, and a bottle of your 2015 Barolo. The waiter nodded and disappeared. Mia stared at Sebastian, trying to reconcile this elegant, commanding man with the prank Vanessa must have intended. You said Vanessa works for your company, Mia asked carefully. Morrison and Associates is a subsidiary of Thorne Industries, Sebastian said casually. I'm the CEO. The room tilted. Sebastian Thorne. The Sebastian Thorne, the billionaire tech mogul whose face graced the covers of Forbes and Fortune. The man who'd built a global empire before he turned 35. Oh my God, Mia breathed. You're him. Sebastian's expression darkened. Does that change things? No, I mean yes, Mia pressed her hands to her burning cheeks. I just thought Vanessa was setting me up with some random guy as a joke, not you. Would you have come if you'd known? He asked, something vulnerable flickering in his eyes. Mia considered lying, then decided on honesty. Probably not. I would have assumed it was an even crueler joke. Sebastian's jaw tightened. Tell me about Vanessa. So Mia did. As the burrata arrived, creamy and delicate on toasted bread, she told him about 6 months of subtle workplace bullying. The accidental coffee spills on her reports, the meetings she wasn't invited to, the promotions that went to less qualified colleagues, the whispered jokes just loud enough for her to hear. Sebastian listened, his expression growing darker with each revelation. When she finished, he pulled out his phone and fired off a rapid text. What are you doing? Mia asked nervously. Ensuring Vanessa's employment is terminated, effective immediately, Sebastian said coldly. I don't tolerate cruelty in my organizations. Wait, you can't fire her because of me. I'm not firing her because of you. I'm firing her for using company resources and my name to orchestrate a malicious prank. There's a difference. He set his phone down as their entrees arrived. Now let's talk about you. What do you do at Morrison and Associates? I'm a junior accountant, Mia said, feeling small. It's nothing special. Do you enjoy it? Mia picked at her risotto, which was the most incredible thing she'd ever tasted. I'm good at numbers, and it pays the bills. That's not what I asked. She met his gaze, surprised by the genuine interest there. No, I don't enjoy it. But my parents passed away 3 years ago and they left behind a lot of medical debt. My sister's in college and I need to support her. So I do what I have to do. Sebastian studied her for a long moment. How much debt? I'm not telling you that, Mia said firmly. Fair enough, he took a sip of wine. But if you could do anything, what would it be? No one had asked her that in years. Mia's throat tightened. I wanted to be a teacher, elementary school. I was halfway through my education degree when my parents got sick. You still could. Mia laughed bitterly. On what money? I can barely afford my studio apartment. Sebastian set down his fork. What if I made you an offer? What kind of offer? Mia asked warily. He leaned forward, his eyes intense. I need a favor and you need money. It could be mutually beneficial. I'm not that kind of girl, Mia said, starting to stand. Sit down, Sebastian said, exasperation flickering across his face. I'm not propositioning you for sex. Jesus, I'm suggesting a business arrangement. Mia sank back into her chair, her face burning. What kind of arrangement? Sebastian pulled out his phone again and showed her a photo of a little girl with dark curls and enormous brown eyes. This is Sophie. She's 6 years old and she's my daughter. Mia's heart melted instantly. She's beautiful. Her mother died 2 years ago, Sebastian said quietly, pain threading through his voice. Cancer. Sophie's been struggling since. She has anxiety, nightmares, trouble at school. I've hired therapists, nannies, specialists. Nothing helps. I'm so sorry, Mia whispered. Next month I have a series of galas, business dinners, and charity events. Sophie's therapist suggested that having a stable female presence might help her anxiety. Someone kind, someone genuine. He met Mia's eyes. Someone like you. You want me to be her nanny? I want you to pretend to be my girlfriend, Sebastian said bluntly. For 1 month, you'll attend events with me, spend time with Sophie, act the part. In return, I'll pay you $50,000, enough to clear your parents' debt and give you a fresh start. Mia's mouth fell open. $50,000. Consider it a performance fee. You'd be doing me an enormous favor. Sebastian pulled a business card from his wallet and slid it across the table. Think about it. My private number is on the back. If you're interested, call me tomorrow. The waiter appeared with dessert menus, and Mia shook her head, dizzy with information overload. Sebastian asked for the check, handed over a black credit card without even glancing at the total, and stood. Let me drive you home, he offered. I can take the bus. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm not letting you take the bus. His tone left no room for argument. Outside, a sleek black Mercedes waited at the curb. Sebastian held the passenger door open, and Mia slid into leather seats that probably cost more than her entire wardrobe. She gave him her address, and he pulled into traffic with practiced ease. As they drove through Chicago's glittering downtown, Mia snuck glances at his profile. Strong nose, full lips, a slight shadow of stubble along his jaw. He was impossibly handsome and impossibly out of her league. You didn't have to do this, Mia said softly. Do what? Pretend tonight wasn't what it was. Vanessa clearly set me up to be humiliated. Sebastian's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Perhaps, or perhaps fate decided to intervene and Vanessa accidentally did us both a favor. They pulled up to Mia's building, a shabby walk-up in a neighborhood that politely could be called transitional. Sebastian's Mercedes looked wildly out of place. Thank you for dinner, Mia said, reaching for the door handle. Mia. She turned back. Call me tomorrow, Sebastian said, his dark eyes boring into hers. Please. Mia nodded, her heart hammering, and climbed out of the car. She didn't look back as she unlocked the building's front door, but she felt his gaze on her until she disappeared inside. That night, Mia lay awake in her narrow bed, staring at Sebastian's business card. $50,000. It would change everything. She could pay off the debt, help Emma finish school, maybe even take a class or two herself. But pretend to be Sebastian Thorne's girlfriend, attend high society events, deceive a grieving 6-year-old. Her phone buzzed. Emma. Emma, how was the blind date? Did he show up? Mia bit her lip, then typed, he showed up. It was complicated. Emma, OMG, tell me everything. Mia, tomorrow, love you, go study. Emma, you're no fun, love you too. Mia set her phone down and picked up the business card again. Before she could second-guess herself, she sent a text to the number on the back. Mia, I'll do it, but I have conditions. 3 dots appeared immediately. He was still awake. Sebastian, name them. Mia, 1, this stays professional. 2, we tell Sophie the truth when it's over. 3, no media. I can't have this following me forever. Sebastian agreed. Can you come to my office tomorrow at 10 a.m.? We'll draw up a contract. Mia, I have work. Sebastian, not anymore. I'm hiring you as Sophie's companion. Your salary at Morrison and Associates just became irrelevant. 10 a.m. I'll text you the address. Mia stared at her phone, heart racing. What had she just agreed to? The next morning, Mia stood outside Thorn Tower, a gleaming skyscraper of glass and steel that seemed to pierce the clouds. Security directed her to a private elevator that required a key card, which Sebastian had arranged to be waiting for her. The elevator shot upward so fast her stomach dropped. When the doors opened, she stepped into a reception area that looked like something from a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows, modern art on the walls, and a receptionist who looked like a model. "Ms. Lawson," the receptionist asked with a warm smile, "Mr. Thorne is expecting you right this way." She was led down a corridor and into an office that took up the entire corner of the building. Sebastian stood by the windows, phone to his ear, gesturing with his free hand. He looked up when Mia entered, said something curt into the phone, and ended the call. "You came," he said, relief flashing across his face. "I said I would." He smiled. "People say a lot of things. It's refreshing when someone means them." He gestured to a leather sofa. "Sit. Can I get you anything? Coffee? Water?" "I'm fine, thank you." Sebastian sat across from her, suddenly looking uncertain. It was strange, seeing this powerful man off balance. "I've had my lawyers draw up a contract," he began, sliding a document across the coffee table. "Everything we discussed last night, plus a few additional terms. You'll have full access to my apartment, a wardrobe allowance for events, and a company credit card for any expenses related to Sophie." Mia scanned the contract, her accounting training kicking in. The terms were generous, almost too generous. "This says you'll pay me $60,000, not $50,000. You'll be on call 24/7 for a month. That's worth the extra $10,000. "Sebastian." "Bash," he corrected. "My friends call me Bash." "Bash," Mia said softly, testing the name. "This is too much." "It's not enough," he countered. "But it's what we agreed on, and I'm a man of my word." He produced a pen. "If everything looks acceptable, sign here." Mia hesitated only a moment before signing her name. Bash added his signature with a flourish, then stood. "Come on, let's go meet Sophie." Bash's apartment was a penthouse that occupied the top 2 floors of a historic building overlooking Lake Michigan. The elevator opened directly into the foyer, and Mia stepped into a space that was elegant but not cold. Hardwood floors, comfortable furniture, and colorful artwork that looked like a child had helped choose it. "Sophie's in the playroom with her nanny, Mrs. Chen," Bash said, leading Mia down a hallway. "Fair warning, she's shy with new people." He pushed open a door to reveal a sunlit room filled with toys, books, and a small girl sitting cross-legged on a carpet, building something with blocks. An older woman sat nearby, knitting. "Sophie, sweetheart," Bash said gently. "Come here, I want you to meet someone." Sophie looked up and Mia's heart clenched. She had Bash's dark eyes, wide and solemn in her small face. She wore purple overalls and mismatched socks. "This is Miss Mia," Bash said as Sophie approached slowly. "She's going to be spending time with us for a while." "Hi, Sophie," Mia said, crouching to the girl's level. "I really like your socks. Did you pick them out yourself?" Sophie glanced down at her feet, one sock covered in stars and the other in stripes. She nodded. "I think mismatched socks are the best kind," Mia continued. "They're way more interesting than boring matching ones." The tiniest smile flickered across Sophie's face. "Do you want to show Miss Mia what you're building?" Bash asked. Sophie took Mia's hand, her small fingers warm and trusting, and led her to the block tower. "It's a castle," Sophie whispered, "for the princess." "It's beautiful," Mia said sincerely. "Can I help?" Sophie nodded, and for the next hour, Mia sat on the floor building a castle with a 6-year-old while Bash watched from the doorway, something unreadable in his eyes. When Mrs. Chen announced it was time for Sophie's lunch, the little girl hugged Mia's legs and whispered, "Will you come back?" "I promise," Mia said and meant it. Over the following week, Mia's life transformed completely. She moved into the guest suite in Bash's penthouse, a space larger than her entire previous apartment. A stylist arrived with racks of designer clothes, explaining that Mia would need appropriate attire for the upcoming events. There were cocktail dresses, evening gowns, casual wear, and shoes that cost more than her monthly salary used to be. But the biggest change was Sophie. The little girl followed Mia everywhere. They baked cookies together, painted pictures, read stories. Sophie's nightmares decreased, and her laughter, rare and precious, began to fill the penthouse. Bash watched it all with an expression Mia couldn't quite decipher. "You're good with her?" he said one evening after Sophie had gone to bed. They sat on the terrace, the city lights twinkling below. "She's easy to love," Mia replied, sipping the wine Bash had poured for her. "Her therapist called today," Bash said quietly. "She says Sophie's shown more improvement in 1 week with you than in 6 months of sessions." Mia's throat tightened. "I'm glad." "I'm grateful," Bash corrected, turning to look at her. "More than you know." In the dim light, his face was softer than usual, the hard edges smoothed away. Mia felt her pulse quicken as he shifted closer. "Bash, tomorrow night is the first event," he interrupted. "The Children's Hospital Gala, very high profile. Are you ready?" "As ready as I'll ever be," Mia said, trying to ignore the disappointment that he'd changed the subject. "Good," he stood, draining his wine glass. "We should both get some rest. Tomorrow will be intense." He was right. The Children's Hospital Gala was held in the grand ballroom of the Drake Hotel, a space dripping with chandeliers and filled with Chicago's elite. Mia wore a midnight blue gown that made her feel like a princess, her hair styled in soft waves, professional makeup making her almost unrecognizable. Bash, in a custom tuxedo, looked like he'd stepped off a movie screen. "You're stunning," he murmured as they rode in the car to the event. Mia's cheeks warmed. "You clean up pretty well yourself." His hand found hers and he laced their fingers together. "Remember, we're selling a story tonight. You're my girlfriend. We're happy, in love." "Right," Mia said, ignoring how good his hand felt in hers. "Just acting." Something flickered in Bash's eyes, but he only nodded. The moment they stepped into the ballroom, cameras flashed. Reporters called Bash's name, asking about his mystery woman. He handled it with practiced ease, his arm around Mia's waist, introducing her as "my Mia" with such warmth that even she almost believed it. They were seated at a table with other business titans and their spouses. Mia, terrified of saying the wrong thing, mostly stayed quiet until the woman next to her, a friendly philanthropist named Margaret, engaged her in conversation about childhood literacy programs. "Oh, I'd love to start something like that someday," Mia said without thinking. "I was studying to be a teacher before," she caught herself, glancing at Bash. "Before what?" Margaret pressed gently. "Before life got in the way," Mia finished quietly. Margaret patted her hand. "It's never too late, dear." Later, during the dancing, Bash pulled Mia onto the floor. His hand settled on the small of her back, warm through the thin fabric of her gown, and she tried not to think about how perfectly they fit together. "You're doing wonderfully," he murmured as they swayed to the music. "I feel like a fraud." "You're the most genuine person in this room," Bash said fiercely. "Don't ever think otherwise." Their eyes met and Mia's breath caught. For a moment the ballroom faded away and there was only Bash, looking at her like she was the only woman in the world. Then someone tapped Bash's shoulder. "May I cut in?" asked a voice like poisoned honey. Mia turned to see a woman in a scarlet dress, beautiful in a sharp, dangerous way. Her eyes, cold as ice, raked over Mia with unconcealed disdain. "Victoria," Bash said, his voice turning to ice, "now's not a good time." Oh, come now, Sebastian. Surely you can spare one dance for an old friend. Victoria's smile was all teeth. Besides, I'm dying to meet your companion. Bash's jaw tightened, but breeding and manners won out. He stepped back stiffly. Mia, this is Victoria Ashford, Victoria Mia Lawson. Charmed, Victoria purred, though her eyes suggested she was anything but. She took Bash's hand and swept him back onto the dance floor, leaving Mia standing alone. Margaret materialized at Mia's elbow. Don't let her rattle you, dear. Victoria's been after Sebastian for years. She's not pleased to see him with someone else. We're not really, Mia started, then remembered her role. I'm not worried. But she was, because watching Bash dance with Victoria, watching the woman press close and whisper in his ear, watching his carefully neutral expression, Mia realized with sickening clarity that somewhere over the past week, this had stopped being fake. She was falling for Sebastian Thorne. And in 3 weeks, it would all be over. The ride home was quiet. Sophie had stayed with Mrs. Chen and now slept peacefully in her room while Bash and Mia stood in the kitchen, the weight of the evening pressing down. You handled Victoria well, Bash said finally, pouring them both whiskey. She's your ex. Ex-fiancé, Bash admitted. We broke up 6 months ago. Mia's stomach dropped. Oh. She wanted marriage for the wrong reasons. Power, status, access to my money. Bash took a long drink. When Sophie started struggling, Victoria made it clear she had no interest in playing stepmother, so I ended it. She seemed pretty interested tonight. Bash set his glass down and moved closer. Victoria could strip naked in front of me and I wouldn't care. She means nothing. And what do I mean? The question slipped out before Mia could stop it. Bash's eyes darkened. More than you should, more than I planned. He reached up, his fingers ghosting along her jaw. This was supposed to be simple, a business arrangement, but you, he broke off, shaking his head. You've turned my world upside down, Mia Lawson. Bash, Mia whispered. He kissed her. It was soft at first, tentative, giving her space to pull away. But Mia melted into him, her hands sliding up his chest to curl around his neck. He made a low sound in his throat, deepening the kiss, and Mia forgot how to breathe. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Bash pressed his forehead to hers. This complicates things, he said roughly. We probably shouldn't. Definitely shouldn't, he agreed. Neither of them moved. Sophie's had so much loss, Bash said quietly. If we start something real and it doesn't work out. I know, Mia stepped back, putting necessary distance between them. You're right, we should keep this professional. Something like hurt flashed across Bash's face, but he nodded. Professional, right. They stood in awkward silence until Mia mumbled good night and fled to her room. She lay awake for hours, her lips still tingling, hating how much she wanted to go back out there. 2 weeks passed in a strange limbo. By day, Mia and Bash maintained careful distance. By night, they attended events as the perfect couple, touching and smiling for the cameras, then barely speaking in the car ride home. Sophie noticed. Why are you and Daddy sad? She asked Mia one afternoon as they colored together. We're not sad, sweetheart. Yes, you are. You don't smile at each other anymore. Sophie's lower lip trembled. Is it because of me? Oh, baby, no. Mia pulled her into a hug. Your daddy and I are just figuring some things out, grown-up stuff, but it has nothing to do with you. You're perfect. Do you love my daddy? Sophie asked, her voice small. Mia's heart cracked. That's complicated. Mama used to say love isn't complicated. You either do or you don't. Out of the mouths of babes. That evening, Victoria Ashford appeared at the penthouse. Mia opened the door, surprised. Can I help you? I'm here to see Sebastian, Victoria said coldly, pushing past Mia into the foyer. He's not home. He had a late meeting. Perfect, then we can talk. Victoria turned, her expression venomous. I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but Sebastian will never actually be with someone like you. You're a phase, a charity project. He'll get bored and you'll be back to whatever sad little life you had before. Mia's hands clenched. You don't know anything about me. I know you're nobody. No family, no money, no connections. You're a placeholder until Sebastian comes to his senses. Victoria stepped closer. Do yourself a favor and leave now before you get hurt, or worse, before you hurt Sophie. That little girl has been through enough. Get out, Mia said, her voice shaking with rage. Now. With pleasure, Victoria smirked, but don't say I didn't warn you. The door slammed behind her, and Mia sank onto the couch, Victoria's words echoing. You're nobody. She was wiping angry tears when Bash came home an hour later. Mia, he dropped his briefcase, alarm crossing his face. What happened? Victoria was here. Bash's expression turned thunderous. What did she say? The truth, Mia said bitterly. That I don't belong in your world, that I'm going to hurt Sophie, that this, she gestured between them, is ridiculous. That's not. Isn't it? Mia stood, frustration boiling over. In 2 weeks this is over, Bash. I go back to my life and you go back to yours. What happens to Sophie then, when she's gotten attached to me and I just disappear? We'll figure it out. How? By telling her it was all pretend, that I was just another employee? Mia's voice broke. I can't do this. I can't pretend anymore. Then don't, Bash said fiercely, closing the distance between them. Don't pretend. Stay, not as an employee, not as part of some arrangement. Stay because you want to, because he cupped her face in his hands. Because I'm falling in love with you, Mia. Maybe I have been since that first night. Mia's breath left her in a rush. You can't mean that. I've never meant anything more in my life. His thumb brushed away her tears. I know this is fast, I know it's crazy, but when I look at my future, all I see is you and Sophie and me, a family. Bash, I love you, he said simply. Tell me you don't feel the same and I'll walk away. We'll finish out the contract and you'll never hear from me again, but if there's any chance you feel even a fraction of what I feel. Mia kissed him. It was different from the first time. This was urgent, desperate, full of weeks of pent-up longing. Bash pulled her flush against him, his hands tangling in her hair, and Mia poured everything into the kiss, all her fear, her hope, her love. I love you, she gasped when they broke apart. I love you so much it scares me. Bash's smile was incandescent. He kissed her again, softer this time, reverent. Then stay, please, not for money, not for Sophie, for us. Yes, Mia whispered, yes. A small cough interrupted them. They turned to find Sophie standing in the hallway in her pajamas, eyes wide. Are you kissing? She asked. Bash and Mia exchanged glances, then burst into laughter. Yes, sweetheart, Bash said, scooping Sophie into his arms. We are. Does that mean Miss Mia is staying forever? If she'll have us, Bash said, looking at Mia. Forever, Mia confirmed, her heart so full she thought it might burst. Sophie let out a delighted squeal and threw her arms around both of them. Of course, life wasn't a fairy tale. There were complications. Vanessa, newly fired and furious, tried to leak a story to the press about Bash and Mia's contract arrangement. But Bash's legal team shut it down so fast, Vanessa ended up facing a lawsuit for defamation and breach of confidentiality. Victoria continued her campaign of harassment until Bash secured a restraining order and made it clear he'd ruin her family's business if she didn't back off. Mia's transition into Bash's world wasn't always smooth. Some of his social circle looked down on her, whispered about her lack of pedigree. But Bash made it clear, anyone who disrespected Mia wasn't welcome in his life. And slowly, Mia built her own place. She used her education degree to start a literacy program for underprivileged children, funded by the Thorn Foundation. She became known not as Sebastian Thorne's girlfriend, but as a force in her own right. 6 months after that first blind date, Bash proposed properly. Not in front of a crowd, not at a fancy restaurant, but on a Sunday morning in the penthouse kitchen, with pancakes burning on the stove and Sophie giggling in her chair. "I don't have a speech prepared," Bash said, kneeling on the floor with a ring box in his hand. "I just know that every morning I wake up next to you is the best morning of my life. Marry me, Mia. Make me the happiest man alive." "Yes," Mia said through happy tears. 1,000 times yes." Sophie clapped so hard her juice spilled, and they all ended up laughing, crying, and mopping orange juice off the table. They married 3 months later in a small ceremony. No media, no society pages. Just their closest friends and family, including Emma, who served as Mia's maid of honor and cried through the entire ceremony. And 1 year after that, Mia stood in Sophie's doorway, watching Bash read their daughter a bedtime story. Sophie had officially asked if Mia could adopt her, and the paperwork had gone through that morning. "Mama," Sophie called, "come snuggle." Mia climbed into bed on Sophie's other side, and Bash's arm came around both of them. "I love you," he murmured, kissing Mia's temple. "I love you too," she whispered back. "I love you both most," Sophie declared, and they all laughed. As Bash continued the story and Sophie's eyes grew heavy, Mia thought about that night at Romano's. About cruel colleagues and blind dates and a twist of fate that changed everything. Victoria had been wrong. Mia wasn't nobody. She was somebody's wife, somebody's mother, somebody who'd found her family in the most unexpected way. And as she drifted to sleep between the two people she loved most in the world, Mia knew she wouldn't change a single thing. And that is where this beautiful love story finds its happily ever after. Thank you for listening. If you made it here, tell us what you thought in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Until next time, keep hope alive in your hearts. Goodbye.